Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite Ravens YouTube channel and podcast, Talking Ravens all day, every day, with your host, Justin P. This is episode 134 for the YouTube version, and for the audio version, season 2, episode 34. All the links are below. As far as the audio version of it, if you can't watch live, you can check, listen to us on the way to the work, on your way to the airport, working out, etc., etc. Right under that is myself, Shannon, and David's social media platforms. Like I said, I have everything. Shannon, Facebook, Twitter, IG. David, Facebook and IG. It's just stuff that I feel like we're not talking about on the show that we should be talking about. Send us a message and we'll include it in our show, whether it's a preview or a recap. We like to get feedback from the subscribers, and so we can interact with you guys a little bit more. So today, Shannon has some great topics for us with a game last night. Ravens won 41-31 over the Bucks to move on to 5-2 on the season, winning their fifth consecutive game. All right, so without further ado, here's the lovely Miss Shannon Finch.
All right, Justin. So I'm feeling like Bill Belichick right now. The Ravens are the only people who can stop the Ravens. That's how I feel. Like you said, we're 5-2. We're number one in the division, same record as the Steelers. I'm feeling good. So give me your good, bad, and ugly for week 7.
Good, bad, and ugly. This is always a good one to start off with. The good, the offense again, man. 41 points. 41 points is like the second time this year they put up 40. Uh, could have been more because, like I said, a couple times we had to take three. Because we got a couple penalties, which I'll get
Hmm.
to. With the offense as a whole, Derrick Henry, another stellar game. Look like he's on pace for 2,000 yards. Lamar Action Jackson, 335 yards to total offense, and another Jackson 5. Mr. Rashard Bateman is finally, consistently contributing to the playoffs. Hope he keeps this trajectory going.
Hmm.
Justice Hill was good. He scored a touchdown, caught the ball well, got some good runs. Offensive line was amazing. Mark Andrews is now, shaking off the rust. He's back into the fold. So that's the good right there. The bad, a couple of spot snaps with Tyler Bomb and stuff like that. They got to get cleaned up.
Hmm.
Uh, few missed tackles, and we struggled with picking up the blitz at first, but then Todd Monken finally sobered up and realized that screenplays and quick slants, or quick passes, period, beats the blitz every single time.
Hmm.
Ugly penalties, of course. Uh, the collapse in the fourth quarter. Again, we can't have that. We got to be able to put teams away. This should have been a 49-10 type of win.
Hmm.
But again, we keep taking our foot off the gas. That's something that got to be fixed because come playoff time, we may not be so lucky. Uh, the secondary again, they had Marlin got two picks, so that helped them out a little bit. But you can't keep getting beat like that. Brandon Stevens, man, you got to get your head around. So that's it for good, bad, and ugly.
Okay, so we pretty much have the same as usual with our picks, just in some of them in different categories. So I have the good being the offense. Again, I feel like when I say the offense, that means everybody. Collectively across the board, I feel like everybody did their job on offense. There were certain things that we can talk about as we go on, but overall, they were the good in that game. Marlon Humphrey. I feel like Marlon Humphrey has caught a lot of flack from the fan base, even in recent seasons, particularly during his podcast. But it seems like ever since he's done his podcast and got called out about it, he's been balling. I mean, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, like I said, if he didn't have that big interception against the Bengals, that could have been a different game. You come up with two interceptions yesterday in a game that was big as well. So I got to give him credit for that. I also feel like the physicality from Roquan and Kyle Hamilton was amazing. Like as I was watching a game with my peoples, it was like, yeah, like they were smacking shit out there on Monday night. And that's what when we talked about this in previous weeks, and I was saying we're missing that from the defense. That's kind of what I was talking about. It's not to say to go out there and get a penalty. Clearly, we can see they know how to hit hard without getting penalties. That's the type of stuff I want to see. You gonna come across my middle or come across it? You about to take this hit while you at it. Some guys can hold on to the ball, but let's see you hold on to the ball when you get smacked like this. They were smacking stuff on Monday, and it made me feel good because I've been saying I feel like that's something that we've been missing. Um, the fumble. I feel like the fumble. I believe that was Zay Flowers that fumbled. I don't know, but when the fumble happened, it wasn't a I think it was a pass. I think it was whenever the fumble happened, Tampa Bay ended up scoring off of that. I feel like that was bad because it led to a touchdown. Communication defensively is still an issue. That's very concerning through 7 weeks. I feel like I know you guys are working, but why do we continue to see the same thing week in and week out? When plays are being made, everybody looking around and got their hands up like it's somebody else's fault. It's time for that group to start looking in the mirror. And allowing 21 points in the fourth quarter is unacceptable. Like I just couldn't believe that happened. Ed Reed said something during a game, and I agree that the group just doesn't know how to be. They don't know how to finish, and they're not a championship level defense right now. Like that's just what it looks like, and that's unfortunate. Ugly for me is the penalties. Last week I said they cleaned the penalties up, and this week we were right back to the same old thing, the same issues we've been having all season. Also, allowing the onside kick recovery in a pivotal moment of the game, that can't happen. You
No.
talk about losing playoff games. We're going to lose plenty of playoff games if it comes down to stuff like that. I mean, and to know that we're the only team that it's happened to, like we're allowing these. It's an issue for me. So that's my good, bad, and ugly for week 7.
And the fumbles was there. I fell asleep when it was 41-18. I got to get up early. I hung in there as long as I could. I just
Hmm.
a small game just scored. The second I see I can go to sleep. It's in the bag. I wake up. I'm like, how the hell the Bucks get 13? Then I looked at all the stuff you were saying. So cut me a break.
Yeah, no, that's fine. All right, so moving on to position grades. What grade did you give the coaches, Justin?
I'll give them a B plus. Want me to break it down or grade them
However
collectively?
you, however you want.
All right, I'll break it down. Then I'll do my collective. Todd Monken A plus. 40 point. Like I said, his unit is carrying us. Much as I get on him.
Hmm.
31 points a game. 40 on the second time they put up 40 points. They're leading the charge. Of course, there's little tedious things they got to fix. That's nothing's perfect. But overall, they've been a saving grace. Like I said, they've yet to play a game. They score less than 20 points. So
Hmm.
Zach Orr, C plus, and I'm being nice because Marlon got the 2 picks and Owe got a sack and Moreno got a sack. But if we want to win a championship, they have to play a little bit better. You don't gotta. I ain't saying they gotta shut folks out and all that, but you gotta play a little bit better.
Hmm.
Harbaugh, give him a B plus because of the onside stuff. Like that's your forte again. Special teams and stuff like that. You have to make sure that stuff is cleaned up. Chris Horton too, which we'll get into, the topics. But
Hmm.
collectively, B plus.
I'm giving them a B, and it would have been an A if not for the defensive issues. I feel like Harbaugh has the team with the right mentality right now, one game at a time. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago about how do you get your team prepared for the Bengals after a win like the Bills, and he said it yesterday. Like we're taking it one game at a time. I think that's the best thing to do. With the season anyway, but particularly how we started the season off. Um, I feel like Monken called a hell of a game. And I love that he's allowing Lamar more control of the offense. I mean, it's clear to see out there with his confidence, and I'm talking about Lamar. And I feel like the offense looks more creative. Like you said, he's figuring out different ways to do things that benefits us, and it looks good. Last season, we were saying how different is this offense from Greg Roman, and this season, I don't even think about Greg Roman. So I got to give Monken props for that. Um, and with the defense, I don't feel like the defense lacks talent, but I can't quite put my finger on what their issue is. Like I don't think we lack talent at all. I think we have the people there. I've seen people talking about losing Queen and Clowney and Geno Stone, and we talked about this last week. I think losing the coaches that we lost is a bigger L than the actual people because I still believe in the talent that we have. And it's not to say that those guys aren't good, but I just feel like we did a good job replacing who left. Could it have been better or have better upgrades all around? Sure. But I don't think that they're necessarily playing that bad. That's why I'm saying I don't think it's a talent issue, but I don't know, what it is. But in a game on Monday, I don't know if you were awake for this part or not. Um, when one of those touchdowns were allowed late, Zach Orr had a look on his face that I've never seen before, like a look of anger.
I ain't see. Yeah,
And
I
that
was. I
and
was
that
asleep.
that so that let me know that it can't just be Zach Orr. Like I think it's always easy to blame coaches, coordinators, and quarterbacks. But I don't think it's always, if you look at it and look at things in context, I don't think it's always them. And his anger and frustration in that moment let me know that was an issue on a deep, like the defensive players were all out of place. Nobody was even on that side to defend him. I don't even remember who scored the touchdown for the Bucks. But like literally, he just walked into the end zone. Like no, and all the other defensive players was going the opposite way of where he was going at. He was wide open. Camera pan to Zach Orr. Zach Orr is pissed. I've never seen him like that before. So for me, it's time to start holding that group accountable. Like I said, it's time to look in the mirror. I hope that Monday when they did their film session, well, no, we played Monday. They probably were off today. I'm assuming it's Tuesday is their off day. So maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, they'll come in and take a look at some of that film from Monday night. But I feel like it's time to hold these guys accountable. Like it's a lot of things that John Harbaugh and Zach Orr can address with this team, even in a 5 game win streak. And it's good to have these issues when you're winning, but they're going to cost us a game. If it's not going to be the defense, it's going to be special teams. And that's only because that's just the way this season is going. And through 7 weeks, I don't see that nothing's changed. So again, but what I will say is this: happy that with the way that the game started, we were able to ride that wave and come out on top. And you have to attribute that to the coaches as well. You know what I mean? Like we place a lot of blame at their feet and blame them when things don't look right. But when things go right, we got to give them their credit. So again, I'm giving them a B, but it would have been an A if not for the defensive issues. But overall, I think it was a great game. Defense just got to figure it out over there.
Yeah, I gave him a B plus. You gave him a B, so we're not too far off.
All right. So moving on to Lamar. What grade do you give Lamar?
A plus. I mean, A plus. The kid was under pressure. He stayed calm, delivered the ball. Took off when he needed to, got people involved.
Mhm.
So yeah, A plus. Ain't too much of that.
Yeah, I gave him an A plus as well. I feel like after the Bills game, people were ready to crown Lamar as MVP, and I wasn't there yet. Like I hadn't forgot about the first 2 weeks of the season, but I feel like with these last 5 weeks, he's definitely the front runner for MVP at this moment. Like all day today, people have been calling him MV3 because he's probably going to get his third MVP. Um, to me, this is the best Lamar's ever looked. I've never seen Lamar look as good as he's looked in a season. And people like to talk about stats. His stats are better this year than they were in the previous 2 years to this point that he won MVP.
Mm.
He's more confident. He's not second guessing himself. Like you said, he's getting everybody involved. He's an improved passer. Like it's like what more can you ask of him besides to say do this in the playoffs? He gets an A plus. Great game.
Yeah, and the league what you saying the first 3 games of the season, he still played well. Like I said, it just didn't result in a win, so it kind of got tossed to the one side. He still was putting up similar numbers. It's just at that time we still had offensive line issues and so forth, so forth. But yeah, for sure, he's definitely it's probably the best version of Lamar so far. To be truthful with you.
But if you remember, and I think it might have been week 2 when I mentioned to you about his body language, like I didn't like what I saw on the sideline, and when things were getting bad, and somebody mentioned that on the radio today, and I just thought it was interesting. They were saying they love his body language in these past couple of weeks, and I know that I've said the same thing. So I just want to give Lamar props in that regard because, like I said, I was bothered by what I saw at first, but I feel like he stopped pouting and doing things like that, and he's actually engaging with the team in high moments and low moments. You know what I mean? And like I said, when they don't quit, when they can quit, that has to be attributed to the leaders on the team. So what grade did you give the running backs?
A plus. Both of them scored a touchdown. Derrick Henry over 100 something yards again. Justice Hill ran well, caught the ball well, scored. A plus. Not too much of that.
Same thing for the same reason. The only thing I will add is that I just like when they're added to the passing game, which this is another game of that. It just lets us be more unpredictable, and they can add value in that place as well. So, A plus for all the reasons you said, and the way they're being used as well is amazing.
And like I tell you about Derek Henry can't contribute in the passing game. Yeah, he's not going to be Eckler and Quan and probably get 60, 70 catches, but he can he can catch the shit in the dump downs and
Yeah,
you know when people blitz.
and
So
he can still be a decoy in a moment, even if the ball's not going to him, he can line up and still be a threat. And we've been able to see that in these past 5 weeks. What grade do you give the offensive line?
hey, could have been A plus if they'd have picked up the blitz a little sooner and then the snaps and Tyler line the ball, but all overall pretty good. So I can man.
I'm giving them an A as well. Clean up the penalties, something we all the team as a collective needs to clean up. But what I do want to do is give a shout out to Ronnie Stanley. I feel
Well,
like
he playing, he
Ronnie
playing,
has
he playing, ain't he?
Ronnie Stanley, like Marlon Humphrey, has caught a lot of flack from the fan base, and I'm not going to say it wasn't deservingly so, but I feel like he's showing us why he was paid and why he's worth the money and why he's considered a top left tackle in the league when he's healthy. So I'm very happy for him. Like I said, he's one of our leaders on the team, and I'm glad he's healthy. Like he's a difference maker on the offensive line for sure.
Our fans is something else. They wanted to get rid of our best left tackle and our best corner.
Because we in a microwave society.
hmm
That's all. What about the wide receivers and tight ends? What grade did you give them?
A plus. A plus. Cause this is probably the first one I gave him all year. I know I gave him A's and B. A plus. Like I said, Bateman, man. Like I said, he just keep he ain't gotta get 100 yards again. Just keep playing 50, 75. Just keep contributing. Don't disappear on me because you didn't have a few games. That's why, like I'm saying over there, I'm still a tad bit on the fence. Because sometimes everybody don't know how to handle success. So I don't know. Hopefully he letting this keep him going in the right way and don't get don't make some. But A plus, Jake went down, but he still was making plays when he was there. Eckler made some big catches. Tyler Wallace came in and made a couple catches. Likely Andrews 2 touchdowns. Kolar when his numbers are called. So yeah, A for sure. And I'm ready to see Taz Walker get unlocked. So yeah, they get an A plus.
I gave him an A plus as well, but for everything you said, but you got to give Bateman some. You got to cut him some slack.
I
Like
am cutting him. I said he did great.
you,
I am.
yeah, you waiting for the moment to. I know you are. You're waiting for the moment to drag him.
I mean, I want him to do good because it helps us out. I don't want him to just have a few good games and then he going back to his one catch and shit. It's like keep being a
But
big
see,
threat.
and that's where I guess like the fan base is split on the Bateman and the Lamar thing because I told you I feel like they had chemistry issues, right? But when you look
That's
at the
fair.
film last year,
That's fair.
Bateman
That's
was getting open. He was getting open last year, and this year he's still getting open. The difference is now Lamar has that confidence in him. Lamar,
trust him. He
like to
trust him.
me,
Trust him.
Lamar has improved as a quarterback. His Lamar's growth is best for this offense.
Yeah.
That's why I keep saying, as well as Lamar, I've never seen Lamar play this well. Like Lamar's a special talent, regardless. But I'm talking about his whole game. People talking about him not being able to throw the deep ball and that being a flaw in his game. I think he can kind of he put that to rest. I think he put that to rest on Monday night.
Even before then, but hey, but that
But
kind of
no, but
that kind of
but
like
but you know
the
no,
national
but
stage, yeah, national stage. That kind of like let
that was an
everybody
issue.
else in.
But we talked about that in the offseason because how many times do we have to hear about them practicing the deep ball? They were working on that. It's not like they didn't know that that's something that they needed to work on. But what I'm saying is why I think it's better is because Lamar has improved. Lamar improving includes him having trust in Bateman. But my thing about the trust in Bateman, to me, it's a difference between you throwing a ball to a guy and he constantly dropping the ball,
Right.
or you not throwing a ball to a guy because you're not confident in what he might do. Like, I don't think that's a Bateman issue if Lamar wouldn't get him the ball. If Bateman is running his routes and getting open, it's Lamar's job to try to get the ball to him, like he did, like he's been doing this year. So I think Bateman will be fine. Like I really do. Like I've always liked him. His injuries hindered him. Lamar's
Yeah.
been out. That's them not being able to connect. I think has had a bigger impact. But he's showing what he can do. And he had a big game on Monday, and I was proud of him. Like I, that's why I say adding, I looking at this team, and because we're finishing up with the offense right now, this is why I keep saying adding the wrong wide receiver can affect the chemistry of this team. This
Right.
team is this team is so unselfish. When you look at when you have your quarterback bring down somebody who intercepted the ball, which I believe they called that one back, intercepted the ball, but could have been a touchdown, but it ended up not being a touchdown. I think it was a penalty. But Lamar was in on trying to tackle a defensive guy. Lamar was in on trying to block for Derrick Henry. Like these guys are all willing to. Tight ends can go weeks and not get passing yards, but all of them are all in on blocking to help the run game. They're all working together.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say this group of guys work for this offense. You add another wide receiver to it, I don't know. It depends on the wide receiver. So that's why I'm kind of like, eh. But I
Um,
like the guys that we have. I like the tight ends we have. I like the wide receivers we have. This is the first time I can say I like every level that we have on offense.
and I agree, but people, and you know how this is, Shannon. People say that now to a divisional game playoff, beat me wide open, and I hope it don't happen. I'm just being devil's advocate.
Mhm.
And why we ain't, so like I said, I pray he keeps lighting it up. But I ain't gonna lie, I still do want DeAndre Hopkins to be truthful with you. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Getting as long as he can come in and get in where he fit in.
Yeah, I don't think
Understanding how this
D-Hop ain't,
understanding how this offense works.
he ain't that type of guy. He done already did that one for 16. He trying to win.
Oh, he was the one that I wanted over between him and when we talked about him and Adams in the offseason anyway. So of course I would want him. But I'm okay with this group. Like when we talked about offense or defense last week, I look at this defense and I'm like, we need defensive help. Like if we don't make any moves on offense, I feel like that offense can still do damage all season.
For sure.
You know what I
For sure.
mean? And as far as dropping passes, we need that should be for everybody on offense with dropping passes or
No, and
not doing what they're doing.
I ain't just saying Bateman period. I'm just saying anybody. Just
Yeah.
sit in them big games with it matters the most. Then be looking like, damn, we had a chance to add this guy. We got fooled by a couple good games. Shit like that.
We'll see. I think, like I said, he stepped up big yesterday. So,
No doubt about it.
all right. So let's move on to the defense. So, what grade did you give the defensive line?
B plus. They got ran on a little bit, but it did flush the pocket and get beat on a little bit. We had a couple penalties from Matabika. He got to stop leading with his forearm like he hacksaw Jenny Duggan and shit. Like, yeah, just go ahead and just go ahead, boom, put it up, leading with your forearm like you in wrestling or something like that. But B plus.
I gave him a B minus. I feel like the Bucks tested our number one run defense often and early.
Did they?
I was embarrassed. But I do feel like they cleaned it up a little bit as the time went on. But they had already gave up more than what their average was at that point. I do feel like they had some opportunities where they could have gotten to Baker, particularly late in the game when they were trying to come back. But overall, they were okay. But I'll give them a B minus. And what grade did you give the linebackers?
I get it, A. Like you said, they were coming down, stopping, Trenton Simpson, stopping, Will Collins, stopping, that Van Noy them guys that they think they still are linebacker, they rush. But yeah, get it.
I give them a C. I feel like they're part of the same. Had an issue with the run game. But Roquan did have a day. I mean, he was being very physical.
18 tackles,
Uh,
I think he had. Jesus.
yeah.
Woo.
Owe and Van Noy had sacks. Welcome back to the party. We need more from them. But overall, I'll give them a B.
No, we need more from a person that I speak highly of, and I show you I'm not biased when it comes to it. We need more from David Ajabo.
Well, I don't even be counting him. I mean, yeah, we do, but I don't really
You say
be
don't
thinking
count him.
about him.
The man out there playing, say don't count him. That's a problem on his end. He got to fucking make plays.
Well, I guess what I mean is like he's not a starter, right?
Right now, if I'm not mistaken, nah, he play a lot like a starter, but he's rotating.
I don't really say he don't. He put it this way: when we were watching a game against the Steelers at the end of last year, Trenton Simpson popped off the screen to the point that we were excited about. what he could do, and we were okay with losing Patrick Queen because we saw that from him. I don't really get that from David. Like early on, he made a play or two, but I don't be seeing him. Like I
Yeah,
don't even
he don't wreck the game. He like you say, he'll make a play or two, but he don't wreck.
no. So for me, my I have higher expectations for someone that we picked up their 5th year option. OA.
Mm-hmm.
Van Noy, you're a vet, so I just have a little bit more.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, so I just have a little bit more expectations for them, and that's why I'm just saying welcome back to the party. But again, I give that group a B. And what grade did you give the DBs?
C plus only because of Marlon and Cal Hamilton. A little bit lower. Marlon, 2 picks. Cal Hamilton making plays. So C plus.
I gave him a B. I feel like like I said, Cal Hamilton was smacking stuff just like Roquan. Marlon had his 2 interceptions. Darius Washington had a sack. I feel like Brandon Stevens, luckily he was able to come back because I was concerned when he kind of went out,
I wasn't.
but he came. No, I was concerned because that's going into
I'm
our depth.
concerned about him as a human being and his health for sure. But if he like far as playing wise, I was hoping Nate Wiggins would start. Like, but that's just me.
Well, then you got what you wanted because then Mullen went down. You know what I mean? So my issue is that I was thinking for depth purposes, you lose him. Now we can't afford to lose. Oh, then shit, then you lose Mullen.
Yeah,
So I'm
that
just
was
like that was my first thought was, oh man, we can't afford to lose him right now. I don't really think Brandon Stevens is playing as bad as some people are making it out. I don't know. Maybe I'm not watching the same thing. Like I do feel like he doesn't get his head turned around a lot of times, but he be right there with his guy. Like
he do. He don't get ran by like just because he got a lot. He got too much speed for that. He's like running back, but the person catch a fade on you in tight cover versus them running right back to you, it doesn't. It's the same thing.
But I mean, it was some big plays made against them. But Arthur Malek has been activated from IR, so that should help that group. We haven't heard anything else about Marlon Humphrey, so I don't know how serious his knee injury is. If he's going to be able to play on Sunday or not, I'm not sure. Um, but I gave him a B. But I do want to say this about the defense before we move on to our topics. I feel like I feel like mentally the defense has a lot to do, and I kind of alluded to this earlier. Um, and Ed Reed said this too during the game last night. They don't know how to finish games. There's absolutely no reason why you allow 21 points scored in the fourth quarter. We had them down by 24 points going into the fourth quarter. At that point of the game, you should be in attack mode, paying your ears back, get after the quarterback,
Yeah,
make it easier on your secondary. And we don't have those guys up front, in my opinion. We have some guys that can get after it, but when it comes time to like, and then again, that goes back to is it a coaching thing? Like, why are you not? Baker should have been under duress, and I feel like after we went down 10-0, we score. I feel like the defense started cleaning it up a lot. You went 2 quarters and they didn't score at all.
yeah.
How do you allow 21 points in the fourth quarter?
And I'm gonna be fair once you finish.
Like I said, I just feel like they got a lot of work to do. The defense
They
does.
they do, but I'm gonna be completely honest, and I'm not trying to rain on it, but you know we gotta be realist. Think luckily, and I hope and I'm glad he's okay for us. Mike Evans got hurt. If Mike Evans don't get hurt, we don't know what happens. To be honest, I have to point that out. I'm sorry, I ain't trying to rain on Perea, but we got to be realists here. If Mike Evans don't go down, it might would have been in a back and forth scoring man, like I was Cincinnati. And then Godwin went
Well,
down. So I'm just pointing that out there. I'm not trying to discredit
well,
nothing nobody.
I don't think that that's a big stretch to say because I talked about that last week when we were talking. I was comparing them. It reminded me of going against the Bengals and the type of weapons that they have. Absolutely, if Mike Evans didn't have a hamstring injury, that could have been a different game. But I guarantee you, them fans looking at Tall Bowles today, like you could have made some different decisions. Like
Sure.
if somebody If somebody that important to your team's success barely practices all week or they're limited,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you might want to sit them for a week against
And it's not and it's not
a
an elimination
non-conference,
and it's
right?
not an elimination game.
It's a game in week 7 against a team in the AFC. Like you lose to the Ravens, so what? You still tied with the same record for your. That didn't make sense to me. I mean, but and I
No,
said this watching the game. I said this is me being unbiased. I don't think Mike Evans should have been out there when he went down. I was like, oh my god, because you could tell how much pain he was in. And now they're saying he's not gonna be back till like week 11 or week 12. Like my thing with Todd Bowles was it worth it? Was it worth it?
and Godwin gone for the year, so now you got to rely on Shepard and guys or make a move and stuff like that.
And I'm gonna get into that a little bit later too on another topic, but that's definitely something to like you gotta think about everything when you coaching. Every opportunity, every outcome, every possible outcome, like that just didn't make sense to me personally. And that's not me saying I wanted it to be easier on the Ravens. It's just like I didn't think that was smart. And y'all
It was
offense have been playing well. Like, well, that was just stupid. But what grade did you give the special teams?
because Tucker made both his field goals a B for the rematch.
I'm giving them a B minus, and it's a B minus because of that onside kick.
That's why.
I
That's why.
don't
That's why I wasn't a B plus or nothing like that because of that.
I mean, everything else, Tucker felt cool. I feel like the returns that was better than it had been and looked better than it had been with some of the returns. But that's ridiculous. That's for you. I mean, to know that no other team has allowed it except for the Ravens and it happened to us twice, that's a problem. So we're going to get into the special teams a little bit more because I feel like we don't really talk about them as much. We talk about Justin Tucker, people, the people, but we don't treat that group like we treat the offense and the defense when it comes to coaching. So we're definitely going to get into that later, but they definitely get a B minus for that just because of that freaking recovery.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on to the topics. So again, we're welcoming Mark Andrews back. A couple of weeks ago we were talking about should we trade Mark Andrews, and people were down on Mark Andrews, and now we're starting to see him come back to his old self. So Mark Andrews is now number one in Ravens history for pass receiving or receiving touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
and he's number three in receiving yards in Ravens history. So do you think that Mark Andrews is the best pass catcher in Ravens history?
Not right now, but he's definitely one of them. He's up there. I still got to give Derek Mason his props for sure. Todd Heap, Michael Jackson, them guys. Even Anquan, but yeah, he's definitely up there in the top five for it. When he's finished, he'll definitely be number one. But right now, he's top five.
Um, I'm going to say that he is right now. He's the Ravens' best pass catcher, and the reason why I think that is because he's been a first team All Pro. He's made 3 Pro Bowls in comparison to Todd Heap only being a second team All Pro and making 2 Pro Bowls.
I
Derek
know.
Mason, Derek Mason never making an All Pro and never making a Pro Bowl as a Raven. And looking at where Mark Andrews is on the list, you're number one in passing touchdowns, and you're probably going to pass Todd Heap this year for receiving yards, and then probably Derek Mason next year because he's not far off with either or. I think that he will. I think he is. Like when I thought about it, like yeah. And anybody that you would put over him, thinking about like accolades wise, they don't really have it over him.
That's
You
true.
might say Anquan Bolden got a Super Bowl, but Anquan Bolden came and left. You know what I mean? We could say Torrey Smith might have been the best wide receiver that the Ravens ever drafted, but Mark Andrews and came in and you know what I mean. So
Not now, but hey, I feel you.
well, no, no. Well, at a point, because
Yeah.
of course Zay is probably going to get that nod as far as wide receiver. But
Mhm.
as far as accolades, this is why I feel like he will be. And if the Ravens win a Super Bowl, he's definitely over all of those guys, before him in that sense. So yeah, he has the accolades.
That's
He's
true.
probably going to pass them and passing. I mean, receiving yards. He's already number one in touchdowns. Like, what else would make you be the best pass catcher in a team's history?
And Shannon, you're right when I think about it. I have a book. I do might have to renege on that. Put him at one. But I gotta defend Todd Heap and Mason a little bit. You might know where I'm going with this. Them guys play with bad quarterbacks for majority of the tenure here. They got Joe for
Mhm.
3 years. But for then, Cal Bowling, Chris Whitman, like Jesus Christ. But that's it.
Oh yeah, I mean, we can definitely talk about the quarterback being an issue, but it still
Right.
didn't. It if that's the if you give them the quarterback excuse as to why whatever they don't have, like I don't know what would be the purpose of saying that because it doesn't change the fact that Derek Mason is number one and Todd Heap is number two and Todd Heap was number one and pay. You know what I mean? Like y'all was still getting yards, y'all was still getting yards and touchdowns, so it didn't matter who your quarterback was. But what I did find interesting about that list was Hollywood is number five. And so it's gonna always take me back to what were you not happy about? Because if nobody else was eating, you was eating. You know what I mean?
I'm a dash on that quick so we can keep it rolling. He said he felt like he didn't get it. He only got his touches in certain situations and not like continuously get it. Only like when we got in trouble. But anyway,
That
it,
sounds stupid.
it
That
is.
really sounds
Yeah.
that sounds crazy. And I like Hollywood. I was just like, I don't know. But when I seen he was number five, I was like, bro, you just it made me just go back to that. Like, why did you want to leave again? Like you was eating. You was the soldier they was using. You know what I mean? Like
I ain't understand that at all. But
so moving on to the next topic, we kind of were talking about this with Todd Bowles and the decisions that he decided to make in that game. And I saw some Ravens fans talking about this, and some actually said John Harbaugh was an idiot for this. So my question to you is: did you have an issue of John Harbaugh pulling Lamar Jackson with a 10-point lead with a little under 2 minutes to go in a game?
not really, because 10 point in 2 minutes. I mean, he could have let him. He could have let him rock up and play, but then I don't know. I don't know. It's a fair question, but nah, not really. Because then the day, you should win that game 2 minutes. Like, so I wouldn't an issue because anything could happen. And if he gets hurt, we all sitting there look stupid. The
Hmm.
questions go either out. Nah, I ain't got no issue with it. To keep it short.
I agree. No issue at all. Even when it was happening, like I was like, Lamar don't even need to come back. And sometimes when you do that as the team that's winning, it's more or less to me like I'm conceding. I'm not trying to rub it in your nose. I'm not trying to run it up on you. Like I'm comfortable where I'm at. And I ain't telling you to quit, but I'm just telling you, like, I ain't gonna do you how the Lions did the Cowboys. Like I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like teams can run it up on you and not give a damn.
We ran up on the
The
Dolphins. Man. We ran up on the Dolphins
I was
last year.
gonna
And
say,
in
but the Dolphins scored like what 70 on the Broncos. Like
19.
teams really do. They have a different like how they want to go about things, and then it goes back to like I was saying about Todd Bowles and what he did with Mike Evans. You got to think about the big picture. We up 10 points in the fourth quarter. Now the defense had been leaky, they had been tired and all of that, but really we should have been able to win that game with no issue. The offense goes out there. We didn't even get a first down. So then you quickly getting the defense back on the field again, giving them another opportunity. If the defense does their job, we're not worried about anything. I didn't see an issue with what John Harbaugh did. Like I said, he could have run it up. Every time we got the ball, it was like we scored. So if he wanted to be smart, he could have went out there, let Lamar and them do the same thing they was doing all day, and then the next day we might have been crying about was that disrespectful, like they did the Lions coach, as saying he was disrespectful. Like it's like a lose-lose situation with coaching sometimes. And that's why I said with Todd Bowles, like you gotta think about the big picture. And was it worth it to play Mike Evans when you knew that he had already had a hamstring injury and didn't practice all week, and you got a division game coming up next week?
And you get a 4 days rest.
That then on top of that, when the game is like whatever, and this is where it's like I get both sides of it because you should play until the clock strikes zeros. If it's a chance for you to win a game, I'm not telling nobody to quit. But I guarantee you, Todd Bowles woke up this morning like, what the hell did I do yesterday? Because in a moment, and to me, what he was doing in the end of the game, and even after Godwin got hurt, you were putting your players at risk. For a game for what? Like
See,
losing to the Ravens doesn't hurt you that bad. It's an AFC opponent. You're still tied with have the same record as the number one team in your division, who you happen to play next week. When you saw Lamar sit down, that should have been it.
you know what's
When we
crazy,
played
shot?
against the Bengals, we played against the Bengals, I don't know if we set Lamar first or they set Joe Burrow first. But once you start seeing starters come out, it's like, all right,
No,
man.
you mean the Bills. I was going to say that. The Bills. Man, Bengals, that was a shootout.
No, the
No, no.
Bengals, we went to the end. The Bills, okay,
Yeah,
Josh Allen. You
that's
start
what.
taking people out the game, like, all right, we respecting it for what it is. But they wanted to keep going. And his thought process after the injury was what I was like, what are you doing? I don't think John Harbaugh was wrong. It wasn't worth it in the end. The game was won. I mean, if it would have came down to it and we had to put Lamar back out there, the offense back out there, we could have.
Right.
But I'm glad it didn't come to that. But I just think I will say this one last thing. That goes to show that it's levels to coaching. So when we talked about who has the edge and we talk about John Harbaugh and Todd Bowles, I'm not telling no coach to play scary, but play smart.
For sure.
Think about the big picture. Winning a game in week 7 is not as important as having Mike Evans and Chris Godwin throughout the year on the playoffs or when you're trying to make a playoff push. Like, that's just crazy to me.
And you got the whole tight NFC North team that could possibly make the playoffs. So it's like it's getting flipped.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I was fine with him sitting him down. All right, and so the last topic, like I said, all season we've got on John Harbaugh. We've been on John Harbaugh neck to the point where everybody was trying to run him out of town after 2 weeks. We've talked about Todd Monken. We've been dragging Zach Orr for weeks, even wondering if he is capable of being a defensive coordinator. You say he might be one and done, Justin, if he don't get it together.
Yeah, I stand on that.
So my question to you is: should we be having a conversation about Chris Horton, who was our special teams coach? Inconsistent play this season. Should we be
Absolutely.
talking about him?
Absolutely. Because Jerry Rosberg groomed you up and showed you the way. Like he's probably one of the best special team coaches ever. Like how Joe D is an offensive line guru,
Hmm.
Jerry Rosberg is special team. So yeah, for sure. Like get a special teams is not the sexiest unit, but they can change and and it could make or break a game if they're not on their points. Not on that.
Hmm.
So yes, he needs to get his shit together too, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, we talk about everybody else, talk about Justin Tucker and his technique and what's wrong with that, and Stout didn't do this, and the return is not doing that. But we're not talking about the guy that's supposed to be coaching them up, and that is Chris Horton. Watching a Steelers game on Sunday night, that's a great coach, well coached special teams unit. Like every level that they play, I was actually amazed. Like every time that I saw their special teams do something different, I'm like, wow, that goes to show you that they're practicing situational football and they practice hard. Like they were all excited for their coach and everything. That's a big deal to me, and it's concerning to me because he's been our special teams coach for what they said 6 years now since 2019.
Yeah, he was an assistant, then he got moved up and Jerry Rosberg retired.
Right. And every year since he's been the coach, we've been one, two, or three in special teams. And this year we're ranked 12th. So if we're going to be holding John Harbaugh, Todd Monken, and Zach Orr's feet to the fire, it's time we do the same for Chris Horton. Because
Nice.
that group is going to cost us a playoff game. It won't even matter about no Super Bowl or nothing else that everybody want to do if we have blunders like we've had these 7 weeks. It wasn't even just yesterday. Like we've talked about special teams, in other games after other games. So they got a lot of work to do. Like I think that having this 5 game win streak after starting on 2 is great. But I also feel like it's still a whole lot more things we can do to be an even better team. We
Mhm.
have to clean these issues up defensively and on special teams. Like we have to.
Agreed. Like I said, agreed is gonna get overlooked because people were winning until one of them crosses the game. Then everybody's gonna put the focus on them. But no, you're right, Shannon. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Hmm.
Um, Shannon, go ahead. Anything you want to say before do the outro?
I do. Um, I feel bad because I've seen a lot of people in the fan base saying how they're not excited about like games like Monday or even what's happening to this point in the season because everything is about the playoffs. And I have to say, I kind of understand how they feel because that's how I felt after the 2010 season. After the 2010 season, I felt like I was like John Harbaugh has brought his losing Philly ways to Baltimore because Philly had went to like five, 4 or 5 straight NFC championships, had only made it
Six.
to one,
Six.
six, and
Including the
only
one you
made it
got to Super Bowl. Six.
and made the Super Bowl the one time, didn't win that. And I was like, John Harbaugh came from, so I was in my mind, I'm like, he done bought them losing Philly ways here. And then 2011 come, and that was one of our better teams. Like that team was better than the team that won a Super Bowl. And we
Yeah.
fell short in the AFC championship. And that AFC championship game made me so sick I couldn't even go to work the next day. So I completely understand why fans are hesitant with being excited right now, but in 2012, we came back and we won. I feel like all the years of losing and going through the heartbreak, it helped the team be battle tested. So when it
Absolutely.
was time to do that the Super Bowl run that we had, they weren't gonna blink. They weren't scared. They were ready for whatever. That's why we were able to go in adverse situations and win games in different ways because of the experience they've had. Let's just hope that this Ravens team is more like the 2012 Ravens team. Not saying that they have any sort of struggle like the 2012 team had at the end of the regular season, but they went on a historic run either way. After heartbreak, after heartbreak, after heartbreak. And we were kind of like, I don't know if Flacco's the guy. Like nobody was
Ah,
mad at
fact.
the Ravens. Nobody was
Man,
mad at
you
the
heard
Ravens
what
for
Steve
not paying.
Bisciotti told him. He said, "Bro, you got to get that trophy here first. We ain't talk about nothing."
And that's what I was about to say. Nobody was mad about Flacco not getting paid at that point because he was like, we ain't doing nothing. We going to the playoffs. Yeah, we've been in one game or 2 games, but we made it to the AFC Championship too. So well, we need more than that. So right now the fan base is feeling that way about this Ravens core. Um, and I just wanted to say that I feel bad that they feel that way, but I completely understand why they are hesitant. And let's just hope that this team is more like the 2020, the 2012 team. That we get to experience another Super Bowl win.
I agree, Shannon. Yeah, like I said, it's very similar. Like, remember, for people to remember that defense in 2012 was not
It
stellar
wasn't
to
good.
the playoffs. Like that's like I know it's been a minute ago, but remember, like outside
And
of
we
one
lost
or two games,
we lost Ray Lewis for quite a few games in the regular
it was
season.
Suggs first. Yep, you're right. It was Suggs first. Remember he tore us whatever playing back
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
Then when he came back, Ray got hurt. So we still it made it even worse because now you don't got the general. At least with Suggs, like you still got Ray directing and keeping everybody in pace and proving
Hmm.
them guys were still doing their thing. But once Ray went down, we went ugly.
Look, and then they cussed Harbaugh out, but I think all of that adversity helped them. I really do. I do. I do.
No, for sure. And we got some now with Zach, or like I said, this unit probably played much better in the postseason after now they had a whole regular season, getting comfortable with each other.
Hmm.
Yeah, so tell everybody, I get it. There's definitely the postseason, but you got to get to the postseason first before you. Like I said, you don't replay the season in the AFC Championship game. I even said
You're
it.
right.
I even said it in 2012. Said it 12 years ago. You don't replay it. You got to work your way back. It's not
Gotta move
guaranteed.
it. Yeah, you gotta go. Yeah,
It's
and
not
you
guaranteed.
gotta have people that believe it. When we lost to the Patriots in 2011, when Ray Lewis stood in that locker room telling them we're going to be back here next year, I believe that he believed it. And when you have people around you that believe that you can do certain things, it rubs off on everybody else. So I think we'll be fine. Like I said, I get it. I get the hesitation, but let's still root for our guys. Let's not every time something happens be like, oh, see, we're not going to do this in the playoffs. And let's get through the regular season. Let's have fun, and then we deal with the playoffs when we get there.
There you go. Yeah. Everybody have an amazing Tuesday night. Watch basketball. Yankees and game. Dodgers kick off Friday. Got a Thursday night game coming up. Vikings Rams. That should be interesting. We'll be back Thursday. Hopefully Dave is good to go. Do our preview of the
Hmm.
game versus the Browns. And all I'm about to say, make sure we trade. I know what that means. Talking Ravens all day, every day. Your host, Justin P, and my $1 billion co-host, Miss Shannon Finch. Make sure you do your clips too. You've been slipping last week. But I know there's been a lot going on, but yeah, definitely do your clips. Like I said, we lay out guys, enjoy the other sports stuff that's going on. And we'll be back Thursday, same time, same big channel. We out.
Good night, Justin.
Nice, Shannon.